Yo, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back to Blitz Sports Media. My name is Ryan Lincoln, and I'm back with another 7-round mock draft for you guys today. Just so you guys know, we are hosting a live draft party at 7:30 Eastern Time on the first round of the draft. So next Thursday, make sure you guys tune into that. I will be there in Green Bay covering the event live, while we have some other hosts at home hosting the event. We'll have some giveaways, some fans coming on, talking ball, all that good stuff. So make sure you guys tune into that and turn those notifications on for when we go live. For the Chargers, though, on the other hand, the Chargers were in a great situation in 2024. They were in the midst of a kind of retool of the roster, new coach with Jim Harbaugh at the belt, and they performed very well last season. Now, they were ahead of schedule. They had some holes in this roster that they cleaned up and ultimately led to them being a first-round exit because their roster just wasn't there. I absolutely love where the Chargers are with their current roster construction and Jim Harbaugh at the helm. They have a great defense. They obviously have a franchise quarterback in Justin Herbert. They hit with the Ladd McConkey pick. And obviously, we know they're going to be a ground and pound team. They added Najee Harris, who I think is going to be a good contributor with this scheme. Now, ultimately, heading into the draft, there's still some holes this team needs. There's no true number 2 wide receiver yet for the Los Angeles Chargers. It's going to be interesting to see if they go with that in round 1. And then they have a massive hole at tight end as well that they need to address defensively. It's a lot smaller from what they need in terms of the offensive side of the ball. I think another edge rusher when it hurt, a good linebacker that can play all 3 downs is very important for them to add as well. And some depth on some positions like the interior defensive line and cornerback could also be very good for Los Angeles as well. So let's hop right into the 7-round mock draft and see how we can cook up a good Chargers draft.
All right, let's hop right into this Chargers mock draft and see who's available for us with the Chargers first round pick. As we can see here, we got Shedeur Sanders going to the Steelers. That's definitely very surprising there. Jalen Walker looks like he's heading to Cincinnati. It's an interesting pick. Ooh, the Colts didn't have a chance at Tyler Warren because the Bears picked him. Interesting. Ted McMillan going to the Saints. Okay. So very interesting start to the draft. That leaves us here at 22. You have Luther Burden available, Josh Simmons, Agabuka, Kelvin Banks, James Pierce, Hampton, Colston Loveland. Based on some of these top options available, I think there's only 2 guys that make a ton of sense for the Los Angeles Chargers, and these are the 2 guys that I've seen heavily mocked to this team. Now, what I will say before I say that is Agabuka doesn't make sense to this team. He primarily operates in the slot, and we all know Ladd McConkey is a slot receiver, so I don't think that pick makes a ton of sense. The 2 other guys are Luther Burden and Colston Loveland. Now, Luther Burden is an extremely talented receiver. Did not have the season that I think a lot of people were expecting him to, resulting in him to drop a little bit down the boards. But heading into last year, he was considered a top 10 pick in this draft. Has the talent. I think there are some character questions with him that are causing him to slide a little bit more and could cause him to fall out of the first round in general. But the talent is there. It's undeniable that Burden can be a top receiver in this league. But I truly think they're going to lean Colston Loveland. Now, I don't know why this is not loading, but Loveland is a very good prospect. He had a 90.6 receiving grade last year for Michigan, finished with an overall grade of 85.9, only a 3.4% drop rate. And we all know that Jim Harbaugh obviously recruited him and brought him into Michigan during his other time. And I think if he is available at the Chargers first round pick, I think it makes a ton of sense for them to go in and pick Loveland with their first pick. So we got the tight end situation resolved for the Chargers here. Heading into round 2, based on some of the guys available, I do like the running back prospects available at this point. Travion Henderson, Cam Scatabo, both players that are really good and I think will be successful. I think Samson could be good as well. Elijah Arroyo is definitely an option for them in the second round if they do pass on tight end. Don't really love the defensive options here, but I think a player that does make a lot of sense. I do think Kevin Winston is a good player, but the Chargers don't need safeties. Demetrius Knight Jr. makes a ton of sense. A guy that can cover, play well against the run, and especially in the AFC West, you're going to have to find a linebacker who can cover. That is one of the Chargers' biggest weaknesses on their defense right now. And you even saw he played a little bit on the slot and the defensive line, which is interesting for sure. He is a linebacker that can move around everywhere on the defensive side of the ball. I think he makes a ton of sense, giving the Chargers a versatile option at linebacker and someone that they can develop. Heading into round 3, I think the glaring receiving issue is still a problem for this team. You have guys like Jalen Noel, Kyle Williams available. Tate Ratledge makes a ton of sense for them needing an interior offensive lineman. Outside of that, though, don't love some of these players available. I do really like DJ Giddens, though, thinking he can be an explosive playmaker for this Chargers offense, but we're not going to go running back there. I think Kyle Williams is a prospect that makes a ton of sense for them. An outside receiver that can beat man coverage at an extremely high level when Ladd McConkey is not open. Find Kyle Williams down the field. And I think he could learn a lot from having Mike Williams in the room. Obviously, Quentin Johnston there as well could be a good help. I think Kyle Williams in the third round makes a ton of sense for this Los Angeles Chargers team. Heading into round 4, here's where things get a little bit tricky. You could go halfback, you could go edge rusher here. I do like Trevor Etienne. I think he is a solid prospect. Not necessarily where we want to be, but I don't think he's necessarily a scheme fit for this Jim Harbaugh offense. I think what makes sense is adding an edge rusher. Tyler Batty here has good production in his career at BYU. Would give the Chargers another option off the edge. Let's go in and lock in that pick right there for them. Heading into the next round here, they do still have some issues that need to be addressed. You got interior defensive line problems that we haven't not touched yet. You have some wide receivers available like Jalen Lane that make a little bit of sense. I think Cameron Jackson from Florida is the pick here. Really good run stopper. Reminds me of Thierry Tart. You form that duo there with a high run stop rate. That's going to be very tough to run against this Chargers defense that already is one of the top units in the NFL. Heading into the next pick here in round 6, still have some needs at the running back position and some other positions as well. Taking a look at some of the top guys available, we got Marcus Yarns here, who had solid production for Delaware, but I don't necessarily like him as a prospect. I think at this point, probably wait another round to get a running back. But one of the players that I do really like is Ty Robinson. I know we just went defensive tackle, so we're not going to go there. A player that we are going to reach on a little bit and receive a bad grade for it. Where is he? Dylan Fairchild right here. I think Fairchild makes a ton of sense. He can move on the interior offensive line, whether that's left guard or right guard. Gives them some position versatility in that interior offensive line. It's one of the weak spots on this offense. Now, heading into the next pick here, with Ty Robinson still available, it makes a ton of sense to go ahead and select him there. Another pick right here in round 6. We got another one coming up as well. The Chargers are loaded with draft picks right here. And I think a corner makes sense. I know I always mock Zop Frazier. Let's go Nico Reed this time. Guy from Oregon who could give the secondary a little bit of depth there as well. Heading into this part of the draft, I do really think Brady Cook is an interesting prospect because, yes, he's not the best quarterback, but I do think he can transfer his skill set into another position. I think we address the running back issues here, and Raheem Sanders makes a ton of sense for the Chargers. I think he could be a really good fit for their zone run scheme. 82.8 grade for them. I think that'd be a solid fit behind Najee Harris this year in Los Angeles. And we got one more pick remaining here. Who is the upside guy that we're looking for? Linebacker does make sense. Guard makes sense as well, but we already addressed it. Who we looking at? You know, we can't lie. Zop Frazier, UTSA corner. We got to pick our guy. We got to pick him. Heading into the post-draft, looks like PFF is going to give us a solid B on this grade. Tough D grade on Fairchild and Nico Reed, but that's fine. Some A's for Ty Robinson, Cameron Jackson, establishing that interior defensive line.
All right, there it is, folks. The Chargers 7th-round mock draft. Yes, we went Colston Loveland in round 1 over Luther Burden. I truly think this is Jim Harbaugh's guy. We've seen him in the past. Go get his guys in the draft, potentially reaching a little bit early. I think Loveland is a very good prospect. I have him within my top 20 in my big board. I think getting him at 22 is an absolute win for this Chargers team. It gives Herbert a true option at the tight end position compared to what they currently have in the roster. I think if they go Luther Burden or another wide receiver, it makes a ton of sense as well and would give Herbert a playmaker on the outside. Personally, I think Loveland is the better player, and I think the connection with Jim Harbaugh means he's going to end up in Los Angeles. Demetrius Knight in the 2nd round makes a ton of sense for me. 3-down player, good coverage player, can really fit with this AFC West style of play that a lot of teams are going with, and is that one position of weakness on that Chargers defense I think needs to be addressed. And then in the 3rd round, you get a steal with Kyle Williams falling into our laps. I think he's a solid receiver who can develop behind Mike Williams and Quentin Johnston, learning how to get open as an outside receiver in the NFL. All in all, though, guys, the Chargers get depth. They add some of the key positions that they need to address and ultimately put themselves in a better spot heading into the 2025 season. Let me know down in the comment section below if this Chargers draft ultimately gets them to the promised land in the Super Bowl next season. If you're interested in more content that we're going to be dropping, make sure you hit that subscribe button, turn on notifications, and I will catch you guys next time.